an opportunity to give God honor and glory for the lives of people who unequivocally gave their all. In conclusion, if this love that God gives extends beyond the gender and beyond the generations, then surely it extends beyond the genetics. But all of us, we must remember that we have no right to forget what God remembers. Let us pray. I now commend this parade unto your throne of grace. Heavenly Father, above all, our Commander-in-Chief, who stands between us and you. All this we ask in your holy name, and may all the people of God say amen. Thank you.
The President of the Republic of South Africa is requested to address the parade.
Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, Ms. Thandi Modise, Deputy Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, Mr. Thabang Makwetla, Secretary for Defense, Ambassador Sonto Koju, Chief of the South African National Defence Force, General Rudzani Mapwanya, the Military Command, Generals and Admirals, officers, warrant officers, non-commissioned officers, dignitaries who have joined us, the Premier of Mpumalanga, the Mayor of Bombela, councillors, and ladies and gentlemen, and fellow South Africans. It is with the greatest honor that I stand here today to pay tribute to the men and women of our armed forces. Over the past year, under difficult conditions that were demanding and unprecedented in our democratic history, the men and women of the South African National Defence Force has served this country with distinction. It is now 2 years since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. The South African National Defence Force was there, assisting with the implementation as well as the maintenance of the national state of disaster in the early weeks and the months of the pandemic. A pandemic that has led to the deaths of more than 90,000 South Africans. And we continue to pay our condolences to the many South Africans who have lost their lives due to COVID. It is 7 months since parts of our country experienced the worst unrest in our democracy's history, leading to the loss of life, the destruction of infrastructure and property, and devastation of businesses. The South African National Defence Force was there, assisting with law enforcement to restore order and to protect the lives of our people and key infrastructure. And when our parliament was engulfed in fire at the beginning of this year, it was our personnel from Air Force Base Eysterplaat Military Aviation Rescue and Firefighting Services who were part of the first responders to douse the flames that were ravaging our parliament. In neighboring Mozambique, a cyclone caused flooding and devastation. The South African National Defence Force was there, assisting with the evacuation of flooded areas and distributing human assistance and relief. The government of Mozambique, our sisterly neighbor, continues to battle a deadly insurgency in the north that poses a threat to the security and the stability of our entire region in Southern Africa. The South African National Defence Force is there, deployed as part of the SADC mission in Mozambique, working alongside a number of other nations in our region. I had the privilege of meeting with the troops earlier this month when I attended the National Heroes Day celebrations in Mozambique. It was quite a touching moment to be meeting with those who have been willing and committed to serve the people of Southern Africa, as many do serve the people of our country. These brave men and women are there to restore stability and prevent a spillover of conflicts into other countries in our region. Last month, I welcomed back the members of 15 SA Infantry Battalion, the pilot didn't get the orders right. Last month, we welcomed back the members of 15 SA Infantry Battalion from their deployment to the Democratic Republic of Congo. Since 2001, members of the SANDF have been part of the peacekeeping operations under the United Nations Organization Stabilization Mission in the DRC, known as MINUSCO. All these moments of uncertainty, at this moment of crisis and very real danger for our country, for our neighbors, and for our continent, Africa, the SANDF has been there and will continue to be there to protect life and property and to make sure that the people of our region and our continent are safe. As we continue to drive development and resolve service delivery challenges that directly impacts the lives of our people, the SANDF will also be there. The SA Army engineers were there as part of a multi-sectoral team to clean up the Vaal River system and to make it safe for communities. Until the middle of last year, Army engineers assisted with repairing damaged infrastructure that had caused the contamination of the Vaal River. As our mass COVID vaccination drive started last year, the SANDF was there, rolling out a vaccination campaign for its various units and formations, as well as the military veterans. As school children in rural areas battled earlier to cross dangerous rivers to get to school, the SANDF engineers were there constructing bridges as part of the Welisizwe Rural Bridges Program. According to our Constitution, the primary objective of the armed forces is to defend and to protect the Republic and its people. The SANDF has more than lived up to this task, particularly over the past year when our country endured great tribulations and trials. How apt, then, is the saying that the truest measure of courage is perseverance under pressure. As the Commander-in-Chief of the SANDF, I could not be prouder of our soldiers and of all of you who are here. Our nation could not be prouder of you. As a people, we are reassured that no matter the circumstances of our nation faces, the SANDF will always be there, ready, willing, and committed to serve the people of our country. The SANDF is one of the last lines of defense to restore order, to maintain calm, to support our people, and to defend the territorial integrity of our Republic. The terrible experiences of July 2021 unrest has left deep wounds. It tested the authority of the state and the strength of our democracy. At that moment of great crisis, the sight of a uniformed SANDF member out there, and just the sight of a SANDF vehicle, keeping us safe, restoring calm, gave assurance at a time when many were fearful. Their presence reminded us once more that we do have honorable armed forces who took an oath to serve and to protect and to never dishonor the cause of freedom. On Armed Forces Day, we remember the servicemen of the South African Native Labour Corps who perished during the sinking of the SS Mendi in the English Channel on the 21st of February in 1917. We honor all the men and women in uniform who have lost their lives in the line of duty, at home and on external operations. Today we pay special homage to Corporal Tebogo Hadebe, who was killed in Cabo Delgado, the province of Mozambique in the north late last year, during a deployment as part of the SADC mission in Mozambique. We also pay homage to soldiers from our neighboring countries who have also lost their lives. And we wish those who have been injured in operations in Cabo Delgado, Mozambique, to recover soon. The entire country owes a debt of gratitude to Tebogo Kgadebe's family for having selflessly shared him with us so that he could fulfill his patriotic duty to serve the country of his forebears. We remember all those soldiers who've also fallen in the line of duty in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Central African Republic, and the Sudan. These gallant soldiers died in the cause of peace and of freedom for Africa. Their deaths remind us that our freedom, our way of life, and the peace that we enjoy as a country does come at a price. We are also grateful to our soldiers who are conducting border safeguarding operations on a daily basis. Our soldiers, men and women, put their lives on the line to ensure that peace and stability prevails in our country and outside our borders. They do so in pursuance of our international obligations towards continental peace and security, as directed by the United Nations, as well as our own organization on the continent, the African Union. It is heroes in uniform, fallen and still standing, who make sure that South Africans are able to retire in peace at night, knowing that the country is safe. We know that the SANDF is facing many challenges. Our military, like every other organ of our state, has had to conduct its substantial operations in the face of extremely limited resources and a growing catalogue of commitments. I commend the leadership of our military and all members of our armed forces for fulfilling their responsibilities, even as we grapple with funding challenges that affect various defense programs and development activities. We are looking within these constraints at ways to better resource our defense force with the tools they need to fulfill their mandate. General Ruzani Mapwanya always raises the shortage of resources for the Defense Force with the Minister and myself on an ongoing basis. We are observing Armed Forces Day this year, mindful that we are still in the throes of a global pandemic. Our battle against COVID-19 is not yet won, and we must continue to work as a united nation to put this pandemic well and truly behind us. For your role as the SANDF in preventing the loss of more lives to the pandemic, in working with law enforcement agencies and communities to end the unrest, and in helping civilians in the troubled regions of our continent, your country truly thanks you. For remaining ever vigilant and ever ready to answer the call of duty, Collectively, as a nation of South Africans, we say thank you to all of you. We honor you, and we also salute you. Without you, the safety of our country would not be guaranteed. So we thank you and wish you all a very, very successful Armed Forces Day. When you display your level of preparedness to defend our country, when you also showcase to the people of South Africa that you are an arm of the state that will always defend the democracy and the freedom that our people won, and that you stand ready for duty at all times. Thank you for who you are, for what you are, and for what you do for our nation. I thank you.
The handing over of the South African National Defence Force flag will now commence. Please take note that during the flag ceremony, there will be a general salute, including a 17-round gun salute. All spectators are required to remain seated. Only the parade will acknowledge the salute. Upon the commemoration of the establishment of the South African National Defence Force, the South African National Defence Force flag is handed from the Chief of the South African Air Force to the Chief of the South African Navy on this 21st day of February 2022. Whereas the Chief of the South African Navy will have the flag in safekeeping for a period of 1 year on behalf of the services as a symbol of the unity, determination, and strength of the South African National Defence Force. The title, Keeper of the Flag, is bestowed upon you. In this capacity, you are hereby charged to ensure that the South African National Defence Force flag is unfurled and displayed in the appropriate manner at the South African Navy headquarters. The flag, being the symbol of unity, determination, and strength of the South African National Defence Force, is to be treated with respect at all times. During the next commemoration of Armed Forces Day, you are to present the flag in appropriate manner to the next appointed keeper of the flag. The handing over of the scroll will now commence. Ladies and gentlemen, the mass fly past will now commence. You are reminded they'll be approaching from southwest to northwest. In other words, from your left to right.
Ladies and gentlemen, the aircraft that you'll see today in the mass fly past come from all the squadrons and bases in the South African Air Force. The Chief of the South African Air Force, Lieutenant General W.S. Mbambo, PSCJ ENSP, leads an Air Force that is positioned to projecting effective air and space power through innovation in the theater of the South African Air Force operations amongst the nation it serves. The appointed South African Air Force Coordinator for the Armed Forces 2022 is Brigadier General Rodney King, the General Officer Commanding from Air Force Command Post, together with Colonel Gerry Engelbrecht, Officer Commanding to the 8th Squadron at Air Force Base Waterkloof. The ground liaison officers responsible for the safety of the fly past are Lieutenant Colonel
one of the
Levi
helicopters
Mokgotsi and Major
hovered
T.S.
around.
Ndodiye.
He actually had to pause a bit and say perhaps they had wrong information as to when they should come through. What happened there?
Well, as part of the making sure that maximum security is maintained within the area where the commander-chief is and various dignitaries, it was just one of those actions. Thank you, ma'am.
I always find it fascinating that the army, different sections of the South African National Defence Force, whenever they are performing, whether they're using musical instruments or they're singing South African music. Is this deliberate? Tell us more.
Yes, I would say it's deliberate, but in good faith in this regard, based on the fact that we have realized as the South African National Defence Force that our people in South Africa, they would want to, in supporting the main events within of the Defence Force or the National Defence Force, they would like to be entertained. So when entertaining them, the focus will be on predominantly South African music, yeah.
And as you can hear the noise, the helicopters roaring above us, can you tell us which section is that and what's the significance? Perhaps let's speak to you, Colonel Sekgone, because you from the army base, right?
The South African Air Force.
So what is the significance of these helicopters that are hovering currently?
This is a mass fly past by helicopters. The call sign is Heli. It consists of the Rooivalk, the attack helicopters permanently based in Bloemfontein, the A109 spread over the country, the BK117 stationed in Port Elizabeth, and also the Oryx station all over the country. It's just a mass fly past. They're cruising at about between 130 and 170 kilometers per hour.
And what's their significance within the South African National Defence Force?
Okay, the A109 and the BK117 are called light utility helicopters. They are used for command and control during battle operations. They are used for reconnaissance, and they're also used to train newly qualified pilots into helicopter conversion and also flight engineers. And the Rooivalk is used for attack, air-to-ground attack, and the Oryx is used in many roles: reconnaissance, command and control, trooping, and also casualty evacuation and search and rescue.
And I mean, for today, it's more ceremonial and you showcasing the role and the capabilities of your members. When last were they in action, if at all?
Our aircraft are in action currently. We've got our aircraft deployed in the Democratic Republic of Congo as under MONUSCO, and we've got some of our air assets also deployed in Mozambique. So they are in action currently.
And what can we expect now? Because it would seem like the dazzling spectacle is in the air rather than in the ground.
Okay, the next formation that is going to come, I'll just make double sure. It is going to be the mass fly past by the caravans, the Cessna 208 from 41 Squadron. They will be cruising at about 220 kilometers per hour. Okay, no, that's the Astra formation. It's not the 208, it's the Astra formation. The Astra formation that you see hovering above us or flying past us, they come from Langabanver Central Flying School. These are the aircraft that we use to train pilots in Ab initio. Yes.
And how many young South Africans are often keen to join your section in particular? Or are you bringing them in any way? encouraging them to join.
Absolutely, absolutely. What we currently do, as I said earlier, this function that we're busy with, or this celebration, is also to attract the youngsters to know what is going on in the Defence Force, specifically in the Air Force and other armed services, so that we can recruit them. What would ordinarily happen, we'll have what we call a fan park during a celebration like this for the whole week, where the schools will go visit and they'll learn about careers in the National Defence Force. So we do a lot. If you go to Fesagi, where they send applications, you'll find boxes and boxes of application forms full that shows the keenness from the young generation within South African ranks who want to join the South African National Defence Force.
Take us through what's going on now. Who are they and what squad is this?
That is the Hawk formation. It's a Hawk Mark II. It's what we use for training, to train fighter pilots and also for ground to air. These 3 aircraft that just flown past us, they are stationed in Makado in 85 Combat Flying School.
You know, it struck me that while I was conversing with all the different sections of the South African National Defence Force, it's only males. As someone from the Air Force, how many of those personnel are flying those helicopters or planes?
There's a couple of ladies. I can, from the top of my head, remember Major Mandi Samfeka. She's actually the first fighter pilot in the South African Air Force. We've got a substantial amount of ladies in training, and some of them qualified. So there's a huge drive from the Chief of the Air Force as well to recruit more and more ladies. But there is a substantial amount of ladies within the South African Air Force rank flying the helicopters or flying the aeroplanes within the Air Force.
Colonel Sekgone, was that the last flying machine or machines, or what else is happening next?
One of the Hawks will come back and we will do a high-speed fly past, doing about 700 kilometers per hour. To just turn as if it's initiating an attack, and they will come to fly in front of the podium on our right-hand side. That will be the last one. Yes.
Colonel Sekgone, thank you so much. If you could stand by, perhaps we will chat with you again. Colonel Musiane, from your side, if you can continue narrating for us and telling us what the viewers should be expecting next, especially from here, where we're standing in front of the podium.
Well, what we can expect to happen in few minutes' time is that we are now going to firstly have the marching by columns. These troops will be coming from or marching from